what it takes to win. You hear all the time people talking about success online, and it can be really difficult to weed out the people that are full of shit and the people that have actually done something with their life. I want to share a story with you guys. And my goal with these videos, I made a commitment to start putting out more content that'll help you guys get to the next level, to build the best you. And so my goal with these videos is to do exactly that. It's to help you win. I remember what it was like when I decided to finally take control of my life and go after what I wanted versus settling for what was given to me. It's unfortunate that so many people spend their whole life settling for the path that's given to them versus going after the path that they really want. For those of you guys that are new to me, my name is Jeremiah Sullivan. I'm a former Army Ranger, infantry officer, infantry commander, and fitness enthusiast. I mean, I've ran 103 miles in the Colorado Rockies at 11,000 feet. I've done a little bit of MMA cage fighting. And currently, I live in Florida. I'm originally from California. I'm a entrepreneur, and I'm a mindset, leadership, and life coach. The work that I do now is I help people get what they want. And I work with people that are starting off on their success journey, and I work with people that are doing over 9 figures in their businesses. I had no idea my life was going to become what it's become. And I don't have one of these crazy stories that you run across online. I think I have a more common story. I was a guy that was a C player in life, a person that had given up on pursuing his dreams, I was a person that just quit on himself, period. And then one day I decided to change it all because I realized that conforming and settling and doing what the status quo was doing was causing me more pain and misery than pursuing the path of my dream and failing. So I was able to completely change my life and go from C player to A player. If you're not familiar with this is a tan beret from Special Operations, the 75th Ranger Regiment. I was an infantry officer there. I was a Ranger platoon leader in the 75th. And it took me about 9 years to wear this beret. I'm a guy that some people can earn the beret a lot quicker. I'm just one of those guys that I had to fail forward a ton. Through failure, I've learned incredible lessons on success. And I want to deliver those lessons to you. The 75th Ranger Regiment is a special operations unit. My Ranger platoon was the Bad Mothers platoon from 275, 2nd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. We were specially selected to go overseas and lead high-value target raids against enemy combatants in the United States. That was one of the highlights of my career. It was like playing in the Super Bowl if you were in the NFL. It was like everything I thought it was going to be and more. And it took me 9 years to get just in the door of the organization. The reason why it took me so long is because winning takes a long period of time. Regardless of what social media tells you, regardless of how it appears, everything is going to take way longer. All of your success is going to take way longer than you expect. And it'll take even longer the more you delay going after the path that you want. So what I'm going to do in this video is I want to share with you guys, and I'm going to keep putting these out weekly. I want to share with you guys the strategies and the tactics that helped me become my best, helped me achieve my dream job, build my dream life. And the goal is to help build you and help you win. It is so frustrating when you're starting off on your journey and you look around and there's really nobody worth following. There's really nobody worth listening to. The people around you will either have shitty results, or they just don't have that killer winner mindset. And the people that do, it can be tough to learn and get around them. It can be tough to learn how they think and operate. It can be tough to learn to find the 1%, the 1%ers, and learn from them. So I want to share strategies with you guys to help build you and make you become your best and help you win. And that's what this is going to be about. That's what these videos are going to be about. We live in a culture where settling for the status quo is praised. People want you to do what everybody else is doing. That never sat well with me. And if you're a high achiever, you get it. If you're a person that wants to be a high achiever, you get it. If you're a person that wants more out of life, you get it. So here's my story, and here's some strategies that can help you build the best you and win. I came from a small town of about 300 people in Northern California called Trinity Center. It's a little small town up in the woods, and I was very sheltered growing up. Didn't really have an understanding of, what success is, what success looked like, how hard it was going to be to become successful. I thought success was literally just getting out of the town that I grew up in. And so I didn't really dream much as a child. But I started to dream when I got into high school. And one of my first dreams was to become an elite level athlete. I got obsessed about my sophomore year, and I started working really, really hard towards becoming an elite level wrestler. Well, looking back, I believe, I committed late. I think I committed and started believing in myself late. And even though I started working out and training harder, deep down inside, I never thought that I could be the elite level athlete that I wanted to be. So what ended up happening is I ended up improving as an athlete my senior year in high school. I wanted to go on to the state wrestling tournament, and I wanted to go place at state. I wanted to wrestle at state. That was my goal. But unfortunately, that year, so I only lost 2 matches that year, my senior year, but that wasn't enough to qualify me to go on and compete at state. So after I failed at my dream, I basically settled and conformed and did what everybody else was doing. I went to a community college, and I just drifted in life. Thankfully, I decided not to keep on that path. And it's crazy because a lot of people will quit on their dreams drift through life and they'll spend their whole life just drifting. I am so happy and so freaking incredibly grateful that I chose to stay. I chose to recommit. I chose to not recommit. I chose to do something different. Because when I was going to that school, I was underage. I was 20 years when I was 18 years old when I was at that community college, and I was underage drinking. I was partying a ton, and I just really wasn't happy about life. I started drinking a lot. I would drink in the mornings. I would drink in the afternoons. I would drink in the evenings. And maybe it wasn't every day, but it was most days. And I found myself very miserable and empty inside. And I decided one day to change it all. And I decided, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of feeling this empty, and I'm tired of feeling like I have no purpose. So I started searching. And I had decided that I was going to drop out of college and join the military. So I finished the semester, I dropped out of college, joined the military, and I came in the military as a basic level soldier, an engineer. When I first came in the military, I was a private, and I used to do civil engineer work. I found myself in Iraq a short while later, about a year later after I signed up, and I was there for 15 months. On that deployment, I started feeling empty and dead inside again. I felt like I lacked purpose, direction, like I was missing something. I I'd chosen a career that made sense. I chose a logical one. I was really scared to go after anything that I wanted, so I just picked something that I thought other people would respect. Something that I could use when I got out, so I became an engineer. So I was overseas in Iraq for 15 months. It wasn't very kinetic for me. I wasn't kicking in doors. I wasn't part of the clearance of Fallujah. I wasn't part of any of that. My job was to support those heroes. And that's what I did. And so I got exposed a little bit to combat. There was an IED that blew up in front of me. It smoked the vehicle in a convoy that I was in. We took small arms fire periodically throughout that deployment, but I didn't have any direct action throughout that 15 months personally. And that left me in a state of helplessness. I felt for the 15 months I was there, I kept feeling this need and this desire to get on the offensive. I was tired of being on the defensive. And in life, a lot of people spend their whole life being on the defensive. They spend their whole life reacting. They sit back and life happens, and life just punks them and pushes them around, and it keeps them in their place. Just like being overseas, I felt like I wasn't allowed to go over and fight in the combat. I wasn't allowed to go over and clear the buildings and be part of the mission and the kinetic mission. I felt like I was being told to go shut up and sit down. And that didn't really sit well with me. I didn't like the way it made me feel. And so one night, I'm laying in the middle of this city, Bakuba. The 82nd Airborne are going through the city. They're clearing. There's Apaches coming in. They're firing. The infantry is clearing compounds. And I'm sitting there doing engineer work, looking up at the stars, reflecting and seeing it all from afar. I realized in that moment that I had given up on chasing my dreams and I had settled for somebody else's. I had settled for a job that I didn't want to be in. And I decided in that moment that I needed to be part of the fight. I needed to be part of the gunfight. So I had this warrior's call to do something different with my life. And I chose in that moment to go back to school, finish what I started, pursue a new dream, to pursue the toughest assignments I could find in the military, to become an infantry officer, to get into special operations. And in that moment, all of the dissatisfaction, all of the frustration that I was feeling from settling in life, it started to go away. I started to find peace in the idea in this, I found peace when I started thinking of pursuing a new dream. And I started feeling peace when I made the committed decision internally to pursue the new dream. You guys, success leaves clues. Some of you are in the same stages of life in your journey as in my story right now. You're either fed up, you either are sick and tired of settling, or you're in that state of drifting. You've given up and you're kind of just floating around trying to figure out what's next for you, not happy with where you're at. Or you're sitting in that city of Baku watching everybody else win. You're watching everybody else fight. And you're just sitting there watching them, wishing that was you in the fight. I don't think that everybody needs to join the military. I just think that everybody has a dream inside of their heart that they could be chasing. The first step for you to win is you actually have to choose to go after what you want. You have to stop leading your life from the outside in, and you have to start leading your life from the inside out. When you do that, when you decide to live a creative life, a life where the vision that you see of yourself and who you can be, when you start living from that place, life will start opening up to you and happiness will be delivered. Now, the dream doesn't happen overnight. There's going to be a ton of hard work that you're going to go through. Like I said, it took me almost 9 years to wear this thing. So I had to go back to school, finish what I started, earn my commission, get into the infantry. I had to go through the infantry pipeline. I had to go through different schools, airborne school, ranger school, reconnaissance school. I went to the striker school. I went to a lot of different military schools. I competed in the Army's Best Ranger competition. Every step of the way, it looked like I was never going to make it into special operations. I had so much doubt and fear and self-criticism. I never thought I was going to make it, but I wanted it deep down. And so for that 9-year journey, I was chasing a rainbow. I was chasing just a vision. I wasn't even sure if I was going to get to the end of the rainbow and there's going to be gold there. I was just running with faith. And I'll tell you what, had I not even gotten the job, the beret, that path, the pursuit would have been completely worth it. I was so happy and so fulfilled knowing that I was going after what I wanted. I'm going to share more stories with you guys on what it takes to win, but I want to tell you this final story here. When I got my dream job, it was everything that I wanted. I became a winner. I became one of the 1%. I had failed a ton. I failed in school, academically. I had failed in my relationships, my intimate relationships. I had failed spiritually. I had failed with my finances. I had failed in a lot of areas of life. I just made it my goal to keep improving upon myself as I moved along. And so here I was in my dream job in the 75th Ranger Regiment. I'm in the Super Bowl overseas. We get off the aircraft and we're going in to do a high value target raid, a capture kill mission. We get into this mission, and it's December 31st, New Year's Eve. So while everybody else is going out partying, Jeremiah Sullivan and his task force are going in to grab up this bad guy, to eliminate him, either capture or kill him. We get to this heavily fortified compound. I mean, this thing is built like a castle. It's huge. And we get in there. The gate of the front compound, the front gate entrance was supposed to be open. It was closed. So things are already not as they were supposed to be. We get in there, and we ended up encountering a barricaded shooter. A guy inside of a 2-story compound starts firing and dropping grenades on top of the task force that I was leading. A lot of people got hurt that night. Nobody died. my dream job became a fucking nightmare. Because the next day, we had friendlies that were in the hospital, and I felt responsible for their injuries and that mission failure. We had gotten outmatched that night. Multiple fighters started popping up. Multiple grenades were dropped down on enemy forces. Shrapnel was taken. People were concussed. RPGs were fired. And it was not a sexy mission. The dream became a nightmare. And unfortunately, after that deployment, that was my last Ranger mission. I would go on to become an infantry commander after that and deploy again, but that was my last Ranger mission with the 75th Ranger Regiment. I never got a chance to go back. I never got a chance for retribution. I never got a chance to redeem myself as a leader in that organization. And I had to go on to another military school and continue on my path. Well, when you achieve a dream, it's not always going to be the highlight reels that you see on social media. It's not going to be the fancy cars, the lifestyle, the pool. Your dream is going to have hard times. And you're also going to hit these milestones at your dream. You're going to have that dream job, and you're going to fail while you're there. It's like Kobe. Do you think Kobe ever lost a game when he was the GOAT? Yes. You're going to have failures. And so when I failed as a leader in the 75th, and I had gone on to the next chapter of my military career, I felt like a failure. I started drinking heavily every night. Things got so bad for me. I was reflecting on how I failed as a leader. I had already been trying to become a successful entrepreneur. I had been failing at that. My relationship with my wife was being strained. I was living alone. I had no real connections, friends. My relationship with God was in the shitter. Life was beating the shit out of me, and I didn't have anybody that I thought I could turn to. So I got completely hammered, and I put a gun to my head one night, and I almost ended it. As I did that, I started thinking, and I knew I couldn't do it. I had made a commitment to God that if He had helped me get that dream job, that I would promise to pay it forward tenfold. And in the moment of my weakness, I found strength. I found God's voice. And me and Him started talking, and He commanded me to put the gun down, and I did. I listened. And I told Him in that moment that I wasn't going to quit. I was going to move forward. I was going to right my wrongs, and I was going to become better. And that's exactly what I did. So I put the drink down. I started working on removing my bad habits, like drinking, like building higher levels of consistency in my life. I was a guy that was consistent Monday through Friday, but not Monday through Sunday. My point with this story, my point with this moment is that when you accomplish your dream, you may get to a point where you still feel like you're failing. And no matter what, whether you're at the apex of your dream or you're along the way on your journey, failure is where all your lessons are for the next level. The further you fall, the further you're going to bounce up, the further you can go up. In that 9+ year journey, I failed so many times. I failed college courses. I failed at leadership responsibilities. I almost got fired from the 75th when I was in there before the deployment. As a brand new infantry officer, I got reprimanded. I was told when I was in the Reserve Officer Training Corps that when I was in ROTC, before I even commissioned, that I wouldn't make much of an infantry officer. There's going to be countless failures in your life in the pursuit of your dream, on the pursuit. And the people that lose in life are the people that do not get the lessons when they lose. They're the people that when they lose, they either quit or they approach the goal the same exact way without making a modification. You have to learn from your mistakes if you want to win. You can be a hard worker. You can get the job done. But you will be living in insanity if you never learn from your mistakes. You will go in circles over and over and over again in life unless you learn from your mistakes. And when you learn from your mistakes, that lesson is your level up. Because after I failed as a leader and I found myself with a gun to my head almost ending it, I learned that the real problems in my life were that I wasn't happy. I learned that what I really needed to do to get over my loss during that deployment was that I needed to become better. I wasn't good enough during that deployment. I showed up as a version of me that wasn't his best, because if I was my best during that deployment, we would have succeeded in that battle. We would have succeeded in the fight. I just wasn't good enough. So I knew the lesson that I got when I put the gun down, when I was at that low moment, was that I just needed to become better. I needed to strip away the alcohol. I needed to develop better habits. I needed to find happiness within myself. And I needed to set goals for life, not just my career, and go after them. And when I made that decision to fix me and build me, that's when everything changed. That led me to a mentor. That led me to finding happiness. That led me to accomplishing crazy fitness goals like the 100-mile race. So when I was at that low moment, and guys, if you're at this low moment, understand that there is a lesson there for you. My lesson was that I just needed to get better. I needed to take my pain, take my failures, and understand that I just wasn't good enough. I wasn't my best when I stepped out for that mission. I had to identify and figure out what my weaknesses were. That was the first time in my life where I really sat down with my weaknesses. A lot of people entertain their strengths. They don't really confront their weaknesses. So I'm going to share more videos with you guys. I'm going to share more of these lessons with you. And my goal is to help you win and achieve your dream. I'm going to give you strategies and I'm going to give you tactics. Strategies are the philosophies, tactics are the practical steps. And so my message for you from this video here is that it's good to lose. It's good to fail. But find the fucking lesson. Find the lesson. Figure out what you need to do to course correct. And re-attack and re-engage. All of your goals will happen if you focus on building the best you. Instead of chasing the result, focus on building the best you. The only way that I accomplished my dream of getting in the 75th was that I changed me. I worked on building me. Enlisted soldier, enlisted engineer to infantry officer, I worked on me. Entrepreneur, I had to work on me. I wouldn't be here doing this video in front of you today had I not worked on myself. I used to be scared of the camera. I used to have massive amounts of fear of criticism. In order for you to hit the next level, you're going to have to build the next version of you. So learn from your mistakes and live your life from the inside out, not the outside in. Conquer all.